On September 17, 1784, 39 men gathered in Constitution Hall, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to add their names to a document that has been described as the most important American export of all time. That document is the foundation of our country, the Constitution of the United States. Excuse me. That document is the foundation of our country, it's the Constitution of the United States. Represented by those 39 men were men from various backgrounds, political views, and professions. Most interesting to me is that among the 39 men represented in the signers of the Constitution were 17 men in their 20s and 30s, a demographic that's represented very well here tonight. In contrast, a study done by Harvard's Kennedy School of Government found that 19 to 30-year-olds in present-day America are the least informed demographic in the country. So why don't we get involved? I submit today that as 20 to 30-year-olds in today's America, we need to pay the price to be informed, to be involved, and like the founding fathers of old, to be more concerned with establishing a more perfect union. In preparation for this speech, I had the opportunity to do some discussions with people here on campus. I talked about their political views, and I asked everyone 2 questions. Question number 1 was, are you registered to vote? And question number 2 was, how informed do you feel like you are on 4 of the biggest issues facing the country, namely healthcare, the overseas wars, the economic problems, and social issues like homosexual marriage. I was shocked and surprised to find that 65% of the students I talked to were registered to vote, but only 10% considered themselves informed on the most important issues facing the country. Now think about that. 65% of us intend on voting, but only 10% of us are informed. Now, the sad thing about that statistic is it's been reaffirmed by study after study after study. The Washington Post found that 40% of Americans aren't aware that we have 3 branches of government. Similarly, following the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Centers, they found that 20 to 30-year-olds, 40% of them were not watching the news to find out what happened with the trade centers. So what is it that keeps us from being politically involved? What keeps us from caring? I think 2 answers can be found in a study done by Balaam and Associates, which is an LA-based research group. They talked to non-voters in the state of California and asked them, why don't you show up on election day? They found that 2 reasons came up the most. The first was too busy. That's already been discussed a little bit tonight. Especially as students, we don't have enough time. It's understandable. We have a lot of things to do. The second reason people didn't show up on election day is they felt a political disconnect. They didn't understand how me voting today would affect my tomorrow. In response to that school of thought, let me cite Martin Niemöller, a man who lived through the Holocaust. He spoke of his experience in Nazi Germany, and I quote, he said, when the Nazis came for the communists, I did not speak up because I was not a communist. When the Nazis came for the Jews, I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. When the Nazis came for the trade unionists, I did not speak up because I was not a trade unionist. When the Nazis came for the Catholics, I did not speak up because I was Protestant. And when the Nazis came for me, there was no one left to speak up for anyone. I believe that the debt we incur on the credit card of political inaction will be paid by generations yet unborn. That the decision we make to not be politically involved today has repercussions and consequences later on. So what can we do about it? There's a lot of people probably in this audience tonight, and I know there's a lot of people outside of this auditorium that believe as 20 and 30-year-olds, especially here in Provo, Utah, BYU students, we can't make a difference. To those people, I submit that history proves you wrong. Martin Luther King Jr. was 26 years old when he organized the bus rallies. Harriet Tubman was 28 when she led her first group of slaves out of slavery. George Washington was 21 when he assumed his first leadership role as a major in the army. And Gandhi was 24 when he led his first political protest. I firmly believe that as 20 and 30-year-olds here on BYU's campus, we can change the course of history. But it starts with being informed. So take the time, 10 minutes a day. Read reliable, credible, and varying news sources to get the information. And once you're informed, act on it. Show up on election day. Know your stuff. Make the correct decisions. Write to your senators. Get involved in political rallies and political protests. Support things that you believe in. The greatest danger to democracy is inaction by good people. I'll repeat that. The greatest danger to democracy is inaction by good people. In a talk given earlier this year at BYU, Idaho, Dallin H. Oaks spoke about the Constitution of the United States. And in closing, I'd like to quote him. President Oaks said, "Prophets of God in these modern times have affirmed the foundation of the United States Constitution, which, as we have said, was given by God to his children for the rights and protection of all flesh. May God bless us to understand it, to sustain it, and to spread its influence abroad." End quote. I hope and pray that as 20 and 30-year-olds here at BYU, we believe that we can make a difference. The foundation and the flag of this United States is not held up by a set of ideals or by a document. It's held up by communities of citizens who are concerned. So I encourage you to take the time to be informed. Be like the 20 and 30-year-olds in the late 1700s, the founding fathers, who cared enough to know their information and to act on that information. I hope and pray that all of us can be more concerned in establishing a more perfect union. Thank you.